He was sitting in the cell, man. He be eating that junk food forever because commissary is providing you with the worst food, and the mess hall. So he ain't really had much support. So he just been eating ramen noodles and eating sodium. He caught a heart attack last night. Right? And not to mention the stress that's added on to you being incarcerated. Tremendous amount of stress.
Did you identify the food situation early on, like in terms of yourself?
Yes.
What did you do to kind of counteract it?
I was fortunate enough to have family support on the outside to send me food, and I would manage it to make it last. Because in New York State at the time, you were allowed to get 35 pounds of canned goods from home every month. So I would make that last, right? And I would tell people, bring me things like almonds, bring me, peanuts, filling, stuff that's filling and that I thought was healthy. Bring me some kale. And so, what do you want kale? Yeah, just bring me some kale because it weighs very little. So I can get a lot of it. I just have to eat it every day. So I would try to get the lightest stuff. Plus, you learn from older guys that's been down 30, 40 years. And you say, how did you last? Right? Well, I didn't last by eating the mess hall food. I didn't last by eating all the junk.
So you learned from some of the OGs in there?
Yeah, you learn quickly. One of the first things that I was told when I went to prison was get a medical dictionary. And I said, for what? They said, because you got to be your own doctor. I said, God damn. I said, you serious? He said, because you're going to have to be your own doctor. You're going to have to diagnose yourself when you're feeling a certain way. Because the medical department is the worst, right? So you need to be able to figure out, when I got these stomach aches and I'm throwing up or whatever the case might be, what is it? Right? Why did I develop allergies in prison? What am I allergic to? What do I need to stop eating? What do I need to tell the doctor whenever I go? Do I need a copy of my Chemistry 20? I still remember the name of it. It's crazy. Chemistry 20, which is a list of all your test results, your cholesterol, everything, all the numbers. So I would get copies of that every year because a guy told me one time in Clinton, I never forget it, in 2005, he said, these people know you better than you know yourself. I said, what the hell? Why would you say that? I said, I'm around a bunch of COs and dudes in the penitentiary. I don't know from nowhere. How they know me better than I know myself? He said, the prison knows what's going on inside your body and you don't even know. He says, from now on, when you go to the doctor, every time you get your physical every year, tell them to give you a copy of it. You're entitled to it. They're going to charge you 25 cents a page. I said, this motherfucker's right. I said, he's right. And I starting from 2005, every year I would get a copy of my Chemistry 20, my blood work, right? My urine work to find out what my body was like, what was going on inside me. Because guys get prostate cancer all the time, thyroid cancer, because now they're mixing the food with this really poor soy. So guys get sick all the time. You see a guy, he just starts.
Did they ever try to give you drugs?
They try to give you generic medication.
Yeah.
That potentially makes you worse.
Because you hear stories about like experiments on prison.
That's
true, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
There's a book called Medical Apartheid that talks about that whole thing. But I had a massive ear infection, and how I found out was I would go like this. One day I was really, really dizzy, right? I was on my way to the mess hall, and I've gotten so dizzy, it seemed like the jail was just spinning around me. And I went and I laid down. My ear really wasn't hurting at the time. I was just very dizzy. But what I did do was I would stick my finger in my ear and I would smell it. And I said, this didn't smell right. And I had a massive ear infection. They were giving me Cipro. Now, if you know what Cipro is the stuff they was giving people after 9/11. It's one of the highest antibiotics that you can get. The same day, they had to ship me to a different prison, to an ENT. They took me from Greenhaven and took me to Fishkill to see the ENT emergency because my ear infection was so massive. And I remember a week before that, a lady stuck a big silver thing in my ear and poured water in it to clear it out. What she didn't do was she never cleaned it.
Oh, God.
So I got a massive ear infection. And Cipro, Cipro is like a really strong antibiotic. So that means my ear infection was so massive that they didn't want me leaving the cell. They actually literally took me to another prison just for the testing. And I was like, man, I got to take my medical stuff seriously, especially when you got to go to these clinics and these nurses and doctors, they see you in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a prisoner. Let's get him out of there. Give him some generic pills. And, you know, Tylenol for anything. Generic Tylenol for every and anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I had to study my medical dictionary. I had to begin learning more about myself and what I wanted to do physically.